In 2021, Professor Dean of the School of Education at the University of Arizona determined that Arizona ranked 49th in the U.S. on spending per pupil. Arizona has the 5th worst school system in America, according to WACOB's 2018 report on states with the best and worst school system. What will your administration do to
Here
fix
I am.
those problems?
Here.
Again,
Here.
specifics.
I've got it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's
We're
okay.
there.
I got
Oh,
this.
It got passed down there. Okay. Then
All
what
right.
will your administration do to fix those problems?
Well, everybody talks about vouchers and charter schools. You know, my grandchildren go to private school. I can afford it at this time in my life, but it always has not been that way. I believe, great, give parents a choice. But you know what? We cannot abandon the public schools. We've got to raise them up. We do. We need the best education these kids can get.
So how are you going to do that?
I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
Hold on.
I'll make sure we get to that specifically.
All right. Listen, I believe smaller class sizes. I believe tutoring children. By the 2nd grade, they know English. That's from my experience. The nuns tutored me, 2nd grade, I knew English. I excelled in all classes because I knew English. That's proof. We reduce the class sizes. The teacher can manage better. She can recognize if a child has a problem. She can recognize if there's some child that she needs to give special attention. Okay?
So how are you going to do that?
Smaller class sizes.
How are you going to get smaller classes?
Well, first of all, we're going to do an audit, all right? We're going to do an audit on education. And I'm a friend of Royce Flora, who was ex-treasurer, and I said, you were treasurer, you're telling me there's mismanagement and education of the money. Why didn't you do an audit? Ducey said, no, absolutely not, leave it alone. Why? Would the results be that we're mismanaging the money in education? How would a manager look? A leader would look. If we find out there's $1 billion, $3 billion that should not go there, we need to look, once we do an audit, put a benchmark, what they're doing and what they should be spending, and make it equitable for all schools, whether they're rural or Maricopa. We've got to figure it out. Am I done? No? Oh.
You may still keep going.
There's a lot to do. You know what? Our government, our Arizona, there's so many issues, but we have to tackle one at a time. And we have to do it strategically. We put everything on the table, analyze it, and once we know where the money's going, you can make decisions. We got to get it to the classroom. There's no more taxes for the school. We don't need the administration, the cost to run our administrations, the districts.
Now.
Wow. Gracias.
Kennedy Robeson.
Thank you.
Specifics.
Thank you. I am a product of public schools in Arizona. My children have gone to public school, public charter school, and private school. We need to empower every parent to be able to choose the best educational pathway for their child. Money is absolutely important, but we continue to pour money into our education system. We continue to pour money into a system that was designed for adults and not the kids. The money should follow the kid into the classroom. That will turn the current formula upside down. If money was the answer, Detroit would have the best educational outcomes in the country because they spend the most per student, $27,000 per student. They have a 6% reading proficiency rate. Money's important, but it's about how you spend that money, how you spend it efficiently. And if we do a better job of spending our money more efficiently, we will be able to pay our best teachers like we want to keep them. And if we pay them like we want to keep them, we won't have a teacher shortage. We have one school district, the Kyrene School District, where for every teacher opening they have 50 applicants because they pay their best teachers like they want to keep them. So this is about empowering parents, having full transparency so every parent can have access to what's going on in their children's school. If COVID taught us anything, taught us that our kids weren't learning what we thought they were learning. And so parents need to have eyes on what their children are learning. They need to be able to go online and take a look at the curriculum, take a look at the outcomes, take a look at where the money's going. More importantly, outside of the parent, the most important person in the educational system is the principal. Study after study shows you that. We need to empower the principals. The principals should be the ones making the decisions on which teachers are the best teachers, which teachers are getting the best outcomes. And again, if we pay our best teachers like we want to keep them, we will solve our teacher shortage pretty quickly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm a product of the public schools. My wife is, all of our children are, and my 9 grandchildren are all products of the public schools. My oldest grandson just graduated from high school at Mountain View in Mesa, and my daughter is on the Mesa School Board. I believe that we've got to focus the money back to the classroom. And that's easier said than done. We have over 240 school districts here in Arizona. Some of those school districts have under 100 students. It's crazy when you figure all of the money that goes into the administration and doesn't get into the classroom, how much money we're wasting through administration in this state. But I also agree with Karen. I think that the ultimate power of decision making should be in the parents' hands, and that the tax dollars should follow the child to whatever school their parents want them to go to. I was one of the early founders of the charter school movement in this state, sponsored legislation that created it. A couple weeks ago, there was a listing of the best schools in America. 10 of them were from Arizona. They were all charter schools. I also believe that we've got to change the way we pay teachers. The way that teachers get paid is basically by living from year to year. Everybody gets the same thing. That's crazy. You wouldn't do that in your businesses. We should get more dollars into the classroom, but pay merit pay. And teachers, really good teachers, should be making over $100,000 a year. And you think of the really great teachers that change the trajectory of your life. I can think of them. And it would need to be a matrix of the results with the kids, of peer reviews by other teachers, and peer reviews by parents. But we can do this. And really good teachers should be making really good money. Really mediocre teachers should be encouraged to be good teachers. And really bad teachers should be shown the door.
Thank you. I went to see a really bad teacher at Mesa High School a month ago because my sons were about to graduate in about a week, and this was a month ago. And so I went to talk to the counselor about my son who was getting a C in English, and he's a straight A student. I'm like, what's going on? And English is your best subject. And he said, well, the teacher doesn't like me because you're running for governor, and she's a liberal, and she used to be a cheerleader, and she just doesn't like your platform, and she doesn't like that you're running for governor, and she won't put my grades in the computer, and it's been 3 months. So I went down there to put a little pressure on the counselor, to put a little pressure on her. Ended up having to go to talk to the vice principal to put a little pressure on her, only to find out where our money's going. Mesa High has 5 vice principals. Has anybody ever heard of anything so preposterous? 5 vice principals at one high school? Let me tell you something. I thought that was disgusting. I graduated from a high school that had 5,000 students. We had 1 vice principal. Mesa High tells me, well, we've got 3,500 students, so we need 5 vice principals. It's a good old boys club. They're stealing our money. They're lighting it on fire in the trash can. They're not using that money to hire more teachers or to raise the teacher pay. That's a problem. The administrators are the problem in the school system. That's where your money's going, and I only found it out by accident 1 month ago. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think again we go back to leadership, and words do really matter. We keep talking about our education system being in a state of crisis, yet we don't act like it. Leadership means you have to act, and those actions have to match your words. I am a product of the public school system in Nogales High School. I can tell you the names of all of my teachers. Today, we have a 2,000 teacher shortage in Arizona. The average career span of an Arizona teacher is 3 years, folks. It's because we don't pay them, we don't respect them, we treat them bad, and we name call them. Enough. If we're gonna rebuild our education system, it requires us to invest in the kids so that we have a quality future for everyone to be able to succeed in Arizona. My Education First plan calls for a $2.5 billion investment so that by the time I am done in the next 8 years as governor, every child in every district, in every county, and in every tribe will have the opportunity to graduate dual credentialed, meaning their high school diploma and their associate's degree, in one of the areas that we know our economy is going to grow in: hospitality, healthcare, technologies. That's how we begin to change the trajectory and stop these people saying, oh, you're 49th in the country. Yes, we are 49th. But what sets us apart? We're not going to compete from an economic standpoint if we continue this path of demonizing our teachers. At the end of the day, what happens? We demonize our kids. Someone needs to be their advocate. And I am that person with the leadership and the experience to be able to lift them up, give them hope from all angles, from the time they're 3 so that they have access to early childhood education to the time they've gone through the trajectory of school with right counselors, good teachers, quality programs that anyone can learn in each one of our school districts, regardless of what area code or zip code they grow up in. That should no longer matter. It should be so that the child in Somerton, Arizona has the same opportunity to succeed as a child in Paradise Valley. That's what I'm committed to.
Thank you. Candidate Lynn.
I had a public school teacher have a huge, massive impact on my life, bigger than anybody else, because it was my father, and he was a public school teacher. He taught history and U.S. government. He was a football coach. So I have a huge soft spot in my heart for teachers. I have 3 nieces who are teachers. We don't pay our teachers well, and our teachers are used as political pawns, oftentimes by the left. They drag them out during the political season and say they're not being paid much, not being paid enough, and they're right. Since 1970, if you look at teachers' pay from 1970 to now, before Joe Biden's hyperinflation, their salaries have remained steady. They have not gone up when you adjust for inflation. Administrators have quadrupled. We have way too many administrators. They're making way too much money. There's no administrator who should make more than a teacher doing the work in the classroom, except for the principal. And we need fewer administrators. Governor Ducey gave teachers raises. A lot of that didn't make it to the teachers, and that's criminal that it didn't make it to the teachers. We need to be paying our teachers more. That's how we retain them. That's how we keep the good teachers. We lost a lot of good teachers, and a lot of it was not only just the pay is low, because again, they're used by the unions and the school districts, keep the teachers' pay low, then we can trot them out during the election, and people will feel sorry for them. And I do feel sorry for them. It's wrong what's happening. They're being used, and the teachers need to rise up and say enough is enough. Pay us what we're worth. But the other reason they're leaving is this ridiculous curriculum that is poisoning our children. It's poisoning their mind, and that's why you're seeing parents rise up. And they're saying enough is enough. There's teachers who don't want to teach that. They don't want to talk about gender identity issues and an outrageous sex education program and an American history program that's castigating this great country. And they're walking away from their job. We need to get our curriculum turned around. My plan I encourage you to go, I'm getting the red flag here. Please go to carrylake.com. We will be funding the student, not the system. We have a dual education program, so as Marco said, our kids can choose a vocational or a trade school after 10th grade, graduate from high school, and be ready to take on the jobs and opportunities that are present right now. You can make a fortune as a plumber, as a welder, working in the trades or with certification without having to go in debt at our university.
Thank you.